Epilogue. Just tell me you didn't know what happened, Robbie said steadily. The storm continued to rumble around them as though trying to make up its mind whether to make an unutterably bad night even worse. The bodies of Sebastian Geddes and Dante Swan had been taken away by medics whose haunted faces were mute testimony that they had already seen too much for what had been a peaceful life in a small town. And Bishop and Miranda had arrived. Robbie was staring at Bishop, and he didn't look away. I didn't know what would happen. We didn't know what would happen. He never showed emotion much, Bishop, but the grief and anger in his pale sentry eyes were obvious, and the scar on his left cheek stood out whitely, more obvious than any of them had ever seen before. Miranda stood beside him, her fingers twined with his, and she said to Robbie, "We send teams out every time knowing it's possible, knowing that maybe our skill won't be good enough, or our luck will just run out." Her free hand lifted briefly, so briefly to touch her lower abdomen, then fell away. Even when we get the bad guys, we don't always win, Robbie. There's always a price somebody has to pay, you know that. You're both here, I know that. Why weren't you here before? Why weren't you here in time to do something? Man plans, Bishop said, and the universe laughs. We should have been here hours ago, but the wind had taken down a huge tree, and there was no other way. Not even a place for a chopper to land. We had to wait for a road crew to clear it away. Robbie's arms were crossed over her stomach, and her eyes were shiny. I don't know if I believe you. I want you to know that. We do, Bishop said. What am I? Can you tell me that? What am I now? You're a telepath, Robbie. You know that. She drew a breath. I know it wasn't just Jonah's bullet that took that monster's head off. I know it was mostly me, what I did. What did I do? Miranda glanced at her husband, then said steadily, You wanted to save your partner, and that was enough to focus the energy inside you and turn it into a weapon. Bishop said, all of our abilities can be used as weapons one way or another, if we need them to be badly enough. It's why we learn control, Robbie. It's why we test our limits. Hardly louder than a whisper, Robbie said, I should have read the fine print. Sarah glanced at them and then went to Robbie and took her arm. I have a bottle of wine and a boyfriend I can kick out for the night, she said. Come on. It seemed that Robbie would resist for a moment, but then she allowed herself to be turned and guided, and Sarah took her out of the makeshift command center. Miranda looked at Jonah, who was sitting at the conference table with his big gun lying on it, gazing at nothing. Jonah, there are always monsters, she said. She waited until he looked at her, then said, Always. You didn't make Bast Geddes a monster any more than we made any one of our many enemies monsters. The world makes them. Fate makes them. Life makes them. All we can do is fight the ones in our paths. Do you really believe that? He asked finally. I have to. There have been a lot of monsters in my life, personally and professionally. Battles I won and battles I lost. Unbearable prices I had to pay. But I keep fighting, just like Noah fights, like our team fights. Because when we're done, there's usually one less monster in the world, and I can live with that. Teach me that, will you? Jonah requested with the ghost of a smile. We were hoping you'd ask, Bishop said. And Jonah had one of those feelings he'd had before, that everything was going to change. This time for the better.